entertainmentbuddha.com.
Welcome. Here we are, sitting in futuristic Tokyo, right outside Entertainment Buddha Defense Force. We're about to face off against an army of oncoming angels, but don't worry. Leading the charge in EVA Unit 33.33 recurring, of course, we have Nat Smith. How's the situation up there?
I think everyone died and the world came to an end. I don't know.
Oh, right. Just don't masturbate over any undead people. All right, well, and hanging in the back in EVA Unit 9 3/4, I got Enrique, myself. And here we are about to avoid the cataclysm. Let's go.
Yeah, excuse you. It's the third impact, not cataclysm. Get it right.
All right. I'm sorry. All right. Well, clearly you're a bigger fan of Evangelion, so I'm sure you're super happy that it's now on Netflix, finally.
I literally did not ever watch the show until it came to Netflix, and I binged the whole show plus the end of Evangelion in 2 days.
Oh, really? So what did you think?
I was like, okay, so the animation, I can definitely tell that, like, you can just tell watching the show where, like, they were, like, losing time. And, like, there's a firm, like, it's like the 16th or 17th episode. Everything before that is like, wow, this is really, like, good, like, high quality stuff. And then, like, after that, there's, like, multiple parts where, like, they have scenes where it's just a still image that holds for, like, you know, between, like, 10 and 50 seconds. Like, I don't know if you watched it, but the elevator scene, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah,
it's just
53 or 58 second elevator scene is just one still image sans one. I think Asuka blinks once.
It's just the awkward loneliness that we all feel.
Yeah, and I like, of course, when I'm watching it for the first time, I watched it without any spoilers. I'd never pirated it. I never watched any videos about it. The only thing I knew was that it had a great theme song, and that was it. I totally, like, went into it blind because I knew that it was, you know, it's such an important show and it's so influential and stuff. I was like, fuck that. I gotta Avengers Endgame myself on Neon Genesis and, like, not spoil it. And I think it was good.
See, that's what I wanted to ask, because, like, I think that's probably one of the most highly and, like, rated animes that has been around for a while. And, like, I didn't watch it until, like, I think years after it aired. So, like, what did you go into it? Like, what mindset did you go into it with?
I think I went into it with, like, the same mindset that someone that, like, I feel like I was very similar to people who started watching it when it came out. Like, oh, this is a mecha anime.
Okay, yeah. So, did you have any expectations, or were you just like, all right, it's your typical giant robot fights kaiju kind of anime?
I knew that there was giant robots, and it was really sad.
Okay.
Seriously, like, that was, like, the one thing I did is every time I see, like, a video on YouTube, or, like, you look in the comment section of, you know, like, a video of the intro or just, like, the theme song, it's just like, haha, I love this song, I want to kill myself, haha. It's like, what?
Okay, all right. So what did you think watching it?
As, like, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know any of the backstory. I didn't know anything about Hideki Anno or whatever his name is, the director, his, like, situation. I also had no idea about, like, the terrorist attacks in Japan that happened, like, while the show was going on, and, like, how that affected the show. So I was, like, watching it like, this is really good, like, emotionally driven show. And then, like, as it started to get towards the end of the show, I was like, oh my god, this is the most depressing shit I've ever seen. And then I watched End of Evangelion, and I was like, was that supposed to be the better ending? Like, what's the good ending?
I mean, okay, so obviously spoilers up ahead, but was there any point when you were watching that, I guess, when you finally start realizing that this isn't just a mech anime, that you kind of were blindsided?
I wasn't totally blindsided by it because, like I said, I had the preface that it's a depressing show, so I knew that, like, there had to be a tipping point or a catch or something. I'm like, if it's just giant mechs fighting aliens, and, like, that's not sad. Like, where's the thing that everyone's talking about? Where's that sad thing?
What was the turning point for you? What made you realize, like, oh shit, this is real talk?
I think like right around when Asuka starts to like really break mentally, when she starts getting all like messed up because she thinks that nobody wants her and all this stuff, and like she can't prove herself to anyone, and the fight in particular where like the angel is in like outer space and she has to shoot it with like a sniper rifle, and she tries to, and then it hits her with that like psycho beam or something that just makes her like go nuts, and she's like screaming in the cockpit of her Eva unit, and it's just like, oh my god, make it stop. What the fuck?
What did you think about the part where Shinji has like that whole weird fusion with his Eva unit, and like the arm gets ripped off and regrows and all that?
And it like eats the angel.
Yeah,
I thought that was so cool,
dude. Like I love the fact that they never really, I guess, like clarify whether or not he was even like awake for that. Because
there's a lot of things they don't clarify in that show.
Yeah, but like so that's in particular because you see like when it starts happening, and then all of a sudden it zooms out of the cockpit. Like you see Shinji start having like that weird breakdown, pans out, and then you don't see him for the rest of the thing. It's just the Eva unit, so you have no idea if he's in control, if something else is in control, and it's like this weird, just vague, like understanding of it. But I think that's kind of why this show has aged so well, and it's one of those animes that people still talk about to this day because it's so open to interpretation that I think a lot of people kind of will, when you first give it like a superficial view, you might be real confused and say like this show doesn't make any sense, but there's all these threads throughout the show that kind of like hint at this overall message that it has, but it's just vague enough where people still have discussions about it to this day.
Yeah, I mean, shit, that show came out in 1995 and people are still debating, like, the true meaning of the show and the shit, like, the elevator scene, and it's like, was there really a point to it, or was it just budget constraints, like, blah, 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 stuff like that, like, was, you know, did they need to have that in there, or, like, the part where Shinji is holding Kaoru in his hand, and it's just, like, that still image for, like, 30 seconds before he kills him.
Yeah, right? Or even at the end where he just randomly tries to strangle, what's her name?
Asuka, yeah.
Yeah, well, like, they all turn to, like, pretty much, like, Tang, and then it's just him and Asuka, and then he randomly starts, like, strangling her, and then he starts crying, and people are like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, I think, well, at the beginning of that part, because that's like the montage, the Come Sweet Death montage, where it's playing like that really happy song and everyone's, you know, getting turned into LCL. Like that part was that part was like, okay, like he snapped, like that's why he's choking her. But then after that, like at the very, very end, when they're laying on the like ground and he sees Rey, and then he doesn't see her, and then he just starts strangling Asuka for like no apparent reason, and then like stops and like cries, and it looks like she's dead, but then she speaks, and then it ends, and I'm like, what happened? Like, did he kill her? Was that voice in his head? Was that actually her talking? Why did she say disgusting? What's disgusting? Is she disgusting? Is he disgusting? I'm like, explain yourself.
See, I always took that, like, it wasn't until years later where I was talking to people that I took that scene to mean that, because, you know, he sees her, and she vanishes real quick, so you never know, you kind of assume that it's not really, she was never there to begin with, and then when he sees Asuka and he starts choking her, I got the impression that was him just kind of testing whether or not this was even real. So it could be like in this weird matter of like, nothing's real, nothing fucking matters, and then he just strangles her to take all his frustration out, because obviously she's not real, so it doesn't fucking, like, there's no point to it. But then, because I think he doesn't stop strangling her until she reaches up and like gently caresses like his cheek.
Yeah.
And I think that's when he
stops.
Yeah, he realizes like, oh, she's real.
Oh, she's real. Fuck.
Whoops.
Well, and that I didn't understand, like, if she died at that point, because he cries on her face, and like she doesn't flinch, she doesn't blink, she's not breathing, nothing. But then she says disgusting, and I'm like, did she really say that, or
she's probably referencing when she was like in a coma and he was just like over her, like weeping and masturbating to her.
Yeah, masturbating.
She's like, you're sick. Like, I know what you did.
So I know, like, people were upset about some of the translation changes. There were a couple translations that, like, if you didn't tell me, I would have never known that it was like different. Like that part in the hospital when he's fucking nuts in his hand while she's unconscious. In the new dub, or not dub, the new sub, he says, "I'm the lowest of the low." But I think in the original one, he says like, "I'm fucking disgusting" or something like that.
Yeah, and I think if the fucking disgusting thing like mirrors the, I guess like what she says at the end.
Yeah, and I guess that like they just didn't want swearing in it this time. I don't know if that gave it the TV-14 rating.
Maybe.
Was it not TV-14 before? I mean, there's nipples in it.
Yeah, it's true. I forget who it was, but I was talking to somebody, and they had a really good, I guess, their general consent. Because, I mean, like, the whole point of the anime is that everybody has, like, their own, like, they want the fucking third impact to happen for their own reasons.
Right.
Because I think, like, Shinji's dad wants it because he wants to be reunited with his wife, and, like, everybody has some weird ulterior motive, and Shinji's just, like, the only one there that's, like, over his head.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, like, that whole weird scene with him almost killing Asuka, and he can, but he chooses not to. And the general explanation that I've heard that says, like, ultimately it's a show that teaches us that people can be really shitty to each other, but sometimes we just choose not to be.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely a good way to take it. It's so, like, open to interpretation. Like, every scene can be interpreted a different way by a different person.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like, that's honestly probably one of the most iconic, I think, animes in, like, history, I'd say.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been on, like, a tangent the last, like, year and a half or so where I only really enjoy watching, like, really, really good anime. Like, I don't, like, I know Crunchyroll has, like, 900 something fucking anime on. I'm like, there's, like, 5 on there that are worth watching.
It depends what you're kind of into, though, because I know there's, like, shit ton of fucking different ones.
Yeah, no, but like what I try to find like the really good, like deep kind of gritty ones. Like Megalobox was awesome.
Dude, Megalobox was fucking amazing, and it's funny because that's actually I guess a remanaging of an old boxing one from the 80s from what I've heard.
Yeah, is Akita Joe or something?
Yeah,
like that?
Akita Joe, yeah. But dude, Megalobox, like on top of like the fucking soundtrack, just like the anime and animation itself was gorgeous.
Yeah, well, that and like Devilman Crybaby on Netflix.
That was so fucking bizarre as well, but yeah.
That was good. That I think that was where my main confusion was at the end of Evangelion was like how, you know, when I watched Devilman Crybaby and you get to the end, it's like, wow, that's depressing, but I understand what happened. Like I could follow what was happening. Where I got to the end of Evangelion and I was like, what happened? I don't like this. I feel like I have to have like some fucking like otaku galaxy brain to understand what happened in the show.
Right.
But I mean, that doesn't take away like all the other like really amazing parts, like the soundtrack and the animation sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also weird because I think like for Evangelion, they never even tell you which is the canon ending.
No.
Like, I guess they both kind of complement each other because you could argue that one of the endings is kind of about kind of like accepting your individuality versus just rejecting, I guess, like instrumentality. The whole concept of like, you're not in control. You're just like, I guess, a consequence of everyone else's actions.
Well, and too, I thought that they were the same ending because when you watch the, like, just the end of Neon Genesis, it shows, what are their names? Shame on me. I just watched the fucking show. Blue hair lady and blonde hair lady scientist, both shot dead in the same places that they get shot in the end of Evangelion. So like that was foreseen ahead of time, even though End of Evangelion came out like 3 years later.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So it's like, is this the same ending? Is this what's happening inside Shinji's head when he's like stuck in the friggin' like Jesus needle that goes in Rei's head eye thing? Like, is this the whole like him accepting himself, like that's going on when he's in there, and then like him waking up on the beach next to Asuka is like after that?
It could be like the same ending, just from two different perspectives.
Yeah, or just like the end of Evangelion is like It just goes just a teeny tiny little bit further.
Right. I don't know,
Yeah,
man. It's weird, and I like it because I think both interpretations don't necessarily like contradict each other because
no,
there's just so much shit that goes on throughout the show.
yeah, and I mean like you said, it's from two totally different perspectives. So the show ends, it's all inside Shinji's head, and End of Evangelion ends like everything that's actually happening like
on the outside
his head.
Yeah,
because you don't see Shinji for what, like 20 minutes towards
Yeah,
the end, where
for,
it's
like,
just
a
like
good chunk of it.
everyone dying and like the angels, and then Rei's giant body falls apart because he rejects the project and all this stuff. And
yeah. I mean, you go like he's rejecting the project because he's like accepting his own agency and has making a choice finally, rather than just going along with like what his father and everyone else has kind of set for him.
yeah, I definitely appreciate when a show or just any like entertainment medium handles depression or anxiety in a way that someone who has gone through that can like level with. Like I can firmly say that, like, you know, when you're depressed, like that's what it feels like. It feels like you can't make a choice, or it feels like everyone's making your choices for you. If you know everything is like going on around you and like you can't stop it, but you just want to like slow things down and like try to figure it out, but you can't. Like I think that it handled things like that really well in a time way before that kind of stuff was being sort of like
More like publicized or
it was like catered to in like just entertainment in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like nowadays there's lots and lots of movies and shows about depression, or you know, a character who is depressed, and like that's displayed appropriately. But we're talking, you know, 20
back in the 90s,
almost 24 years ago. Like they were pretty good for their time.
But speaking of like depression entertainment, this is a bit of a segue / time skip, but and genre change. But have you ever watched The Magicians?
No.
I really recommend that show. One of the main characters, Quinn, he's a character that, you know, he suffers from depression, suicidal thoughts, and all that stuff. So like that's a big factor throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is handled really well, where you get to see him as a character, kind of like not deal with that in the sense where you'd see like a movie where it's like, oh look, I have depression, I faced it and I'm cured. You know, it's an ongoing thing through the seasons where it's just a part of who he is. Because I mean, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that's like one of the other things that I liked about the show too, is that like everybody is depressed in a different way. Like everybody in that show is fucking depressed.
Yeah, but they all
like,
handle it in different ways.
Yeah, or like it's like for different reasons, you know, like Shinji's dad because he lost his mom, and Shinji because he doesn't have like a father figure in his life really, and his father kind of rejects him. And then, you know, Asuka because she can't get any appreciation from others, or like she thinks that she can't, even though like she makes everything like a competition, even though they're supposed to be a team. But in her head, she's like, I have to be the best because then people will love me.
Well, it's interesting because, like, you know, you have like people internalizing it, people externalizing it, people projecting it on others. It's really heavy.
Yeah, and then there's that part where Rei's arm falls off and Shinji's dad like fingers her, and it's weird.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, there's some weird shit in it overall.
And then there's those scenes.
It's funny because like I think that's definitely one of those animes that everybody should watch, but you should also kind of go into it with an open mind, because it's not like a traditional anime nowadays where it's got like a pretty straightforward story. There's just so much ambiguity with it.
Yeah, don't watch it with your parents either.
Yeah, that'll get weird.
For those of our listeners that are like 13 or 14, I'm sure there's probably a couple. Don't watch this with your parents, and like maybe don't even watch it with friends.
Yeah, just watch it on your own first. You know,
watch it by yourself in a dark room.
Get a feel for it. Maybe not a dark room. I don't know. You don't want somebody walking in on that.
Well, please don't masturbate to like Neon Genesis, because that's sad.
Which is the theme of the show, so I think it'd be very appropriate.
Yeah, can I just real quick before we go to a different topic? The fact that there's like 10 bazillion like terabytes of Asuka and Rei hentai on the internet makes me genuinely uncomfortable.
Is this your first anime?
No, it's just like given the context of the first thing that I think of when I finish the show is not, my God, I need to have sex with one of these fucking nutcases who are also underage.
Oh boy, you have not seen
Not into lolly porn. Thanks.
The fan fiction of everything in general.
Rule 34 is bad.
What is it? It's called like doujinshi, is essentially like self-published like fan fiction.
I don't ever want to read that.
It's not always terrible, but sometimes it's not good either.
Man, this girl's so hot. Also, she's like a mentally unstable clone of a dead woman and the first human ever, and her arm just fell off.
Well, here we go.
Man, I want to fuck her, though.
Oh, God. When we stop to Pound Town. All right. Gross.
Hey, segue. How about Apex Legends?
Yeah, speaking of Pound Town, how you... I have no idea how that relates, but hey, how was the trailer they released? I haven't seen it yet, but...
There's two trailers, actually. One was like a cinematic trailer, and then one was a gameplay trailer. And I thought we were going to have to wait until the like battle pass came out to see was different. 'Cause I think they're doing a Fortnite thing where instead of a new map once in a while, they just change the map every season.
Oh, nice.
Which I'm totally a fan of, because you know what? When you put more than one map in a battle royale, you inevitably have one map that's good and one map that sucks. And when you have to play the map that sucks, it sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're changing the map, and basically I guess what happened is Watson has joined Apex Legends. She's the daughter or granddaughter of the guy who helped develop the circle, the like electric circle that kills you if you stay outside it.
Oh, okay, yeah, and she's the astronaut kind of looking person, right?
She kind of looks like a Russian cosmonaut, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So she has joined the fights, which I don't know if that has any bearing on the story, but the thing that has happened to the map is some person, presumably the next character that we will be able to play as, sets off an EMP bomb that fucks up everybody's shit on the island, and like a bunch of like structures have like fallen down and are like burning and stuff now. The big like brontosaurus looking things that were like outside the map before are now coming onto the map, and I might be wrong from what I saw in the trailer, but pretty sure they can step on you and kill you.
Oh, nice.
So that's very interesting. And those like flying like dragon things that have been there for a while, I think will be like more prominent. I saw at one point they were in a cage, so I'm curious to see if you can like shoot the cage and have it like come out and attack someone.
It's like they interact with the environment.
Yeah. And some other parts of the map have gotten changed. There's like that one part that's like a bombed out forest where all the trees are like all burnt up and shit. It has like regrown over now, and it's all like lush and beautiful and looks really cool. And a couple spots that used to not really be anything, there's like new buildings and structures on them now. Yeah, it's just basically a facelift on the map with some environmental interaction, which seems cool. And I'm wondering if they changed the map because they wanted to add some areas that Watson would be more effective in.
Right.
Because she's got that like electric fence thing that she can put down. So I'm wondering if they did this like with the purpose of being like, now Watson has, some places to, really shine.
Nice. How do you think the game's been aging? Because I know for a while Apex Legends was it looked like it was waning in the eyes of people just because there was a little bit of a drought with content.
Yeah, I think that they are trying to make up for that. I think we're going to get 2 new characters in one season this time.
Okay.
Because, before, like, when they announced the first season, Octane was like front and center, like, here's the new guy. And this time they're like, Watson's the new character, but they keep showing little like snippets of this other person that set off the EMP bomb and stuff. So it's like, we know that there's someone else, like, and I would be surprised if they made us wait all the way until the third season to play as this character, because I mean they don't have a problem adding characters. Like, they can add more, please. We only have 10 now, so like, go on, add more.
Yeah, because I heard that was one of the things, biggest complaints for people, the fact that it's just the characters are kind of limited, and like there's not much diversity at all. So after a while, you start kind of losing interest. But hopefully, it sounds like they're actually kind of picking it up a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like, the support characters too. I mean, there's only one character that can heal. Well, actually, no. So, Lifeline can heal health, but I believe Watson now can heal shields.
Okay.
Which is interesting. She has like a little thing that she can like throw on the ground, and it'll bring your shields back up, which is cool. I don't know if it'll be as slow as Lifeline's like little like life siphon thing that she can put down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she'll be a good substitute or like replacement for people that have been playing Lifeline and are fucking bored of her now.
Yeah, I just want to change at this point.
Yeah, because up until now, I mean, Lifeline was the only character that was really a real support character. I mean, I guess you could say Pathfinder can put down zip lines, but it's like, that's just kind of traversal.
Yeah, that's like utility, but it's not really, I wouldn't call that support necessarily.
Yeah, and I mean, Bangalore has like the smoke screen and the defensive air bombardment, but it's like, still not, I wouldn't really call her support. I know some people say, oh, she's a good support. Like, no, I don't think so.
All right. Do you think the game's at a good point where you can kind of just jump in if you haven't played it yet?
Yeah, I would say that the new season starts July 2nd, so I would say that's probably as good a time as any to jump in, because you'll have a whole new character, and they have a new like power weapon, the L-Star, the like energy machine gun. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I know that's one of the biggest hesitations with people getting into like games like that, where sometimes if you wait too long, it's almost impossible to catch up because the meta is already so established.
Yeah, I can see that, but no, I think like any time is a good time to jump in, really, because I think games like Battle Royales have a constant influx of new players. So I think you're gonna be, and I think the matchmaking in Apex Legends is like not terrible. I mean, it is a Battle Royale, so like sometimes it's just luck.
Right.
Like you're looting happily, and then someone gets the Kraber and shoots you once and you're dead. It's like, okay, well, how was I supposed to prevent that? Even if it's that guy's like first kill, it's like, well, it doesn't matter because I'm dead.
Okay.
I think, yeah, you could probably jump into Apex at any time, and they're adding some other stuff, I think, to kind of sort of quote unquote fit in with the other battle royales, because you can now do emotes when you're skydiving.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there are emotes on the ground yet, but you can do like emotes when you're like on your way down.
Okay. So I guess just to have some fun.
Yeah, just to be like, haha, I'm gonna floss. I hope they don't add flossing. I'll fucking kill myself if flossing becomes an emote in that.
Flossing while you skydive?
I think the one that they showed for Octane was kind of funny, where he like kind of pops himself up and pretends like he's running down.
Oh, that's kind of cool. All right.
That's funny. That goes with this character. I'd be interested to see what the other ones are. I'd be okay if Caustic like pulls out a book and some like beakers and tubes or something like that.
Some random like kind of chemistry experiment.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And Wraith like pulls out her phone and buys a Slipknot shirt from Hot Topic on the way down.
That's oddly specific.
That would be cool.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like the game's at least getting to a good spot now. It looks like they're finding the groove.
Yeah, when I saw the trailer today, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like the map is like interacting with people now, with all the creatures and stuff around. It's changing. Like these new places look like they'll be interesting, especially for like when the circle is shrinking down to its last little bit. Like these seem like cool places to have like a last stand at.
Nice. That sounds. I might end up jumping up on it. That sounds like a good place to start. It seems like really interactive.
Yeah, I think it's what, like $10 for season pass or
That's not shit. That's not bad at all.
battle pass. Yeah, I think it's the same as like Fortnite and shit like that. I think they're all like $10.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be difficult for them to, I guess, the development team to keep up with like that kind of pace?
I don't know, because they might just keep up with this, like, here's your new season. See you next season. Yeah, shit like that. I don't know if they're gonna, or if they'll just do like events during the season.
Right.
Because now they've added, whoops, I totally forgot to add. They added like ranked mode.
Oh, nice. Okay, so let's make it a little bit more competitive for people.
Yeah, I think that's what people have been asking for like since the very beginning is ranked mode, and I think they've got all of the basics for a battle royale / competitive game in 2019. They're all there. It's got competitive mode. It's got a map that changes every season. The characters are pretty balanced, I think, for the most part. I don't hear too much griping about balancing anymore. The weapons are balanced, except for the Mozambique. I think that's just like the running joke at this point, because they added when you have the Mozambique and you get a different gun, you like throw the Mozambique down in disgust. So like they know what they're doing.
That's kind of cool. So I guess they kind of because I heard that's like a running joke with the Mozambique. It's like one like the single worst gun in the game. So I'm glad that the developers at least kind of picking up on that.
It's like the worst gun in first-person shooter history. It's fucking awful.
Why is it so bad?
So it's like a pistol shotgun that has 3 shots and does like really little damage, even if you hit someone at like point blank with it. That's
shitty. All right, so it's a useless gun.
Yeah, and like every other, like the other shotguns do like, I don't know, like 75 to 80 damage per shot, and this one does like 45, which is ass.
Yeah, that seems like really, especially if it's only 3 shots.
Yeah, only 3 shots, and the reload is like not that short either.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's really bad. I vaguely remember it not being terrible in Titanfall 2, because it was in Titanfall 2, and I don't remember there being like a huge like stink in the meta about Mozambique.
I don't think so, because at least in the campaign, I mean, it's felt like a decent gun that you'd have as a backup, like a quick. It's almost like your last stand kind of gun.
Yeah, now if your Mozambique is your secondary weapon, you might as well just die. just stop playing. Put the controller down.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's got all the stuff it needs to like really get going and like start catching back up to like Fortnite and PUBG and stuff. I think they kind of like took it back a little bit after Apex's initial like, whoa, this game's amazing, and then it was like, Fortnite's back in the spotlight, kind of.
Yeah, because I remember like Apex launching, and it was like a sleeper hit, because I don't even remember seeing a lot of advertisement for it.
There wasn't any. It just came out.
Yeah, it just came out, and people were like on it, and then after a couple, like I think a month or two, everyone's kind of like, hey, this game is not really doing anything anymore. So
yeah, I remember actually being pretty pissed when I saw the announcement trailer for Apex Legends, because I'm a huge fan of Titanfall.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping for Titanfall 3, and they get Apex Legends. I'm like, Battle Royale? Titanfall? What the fuck? And then I played it, and I was like, all right, fine.
I don't hate this.
I don't hate this. All they need to do now is do event modes during the seasons. Like, they need to have some, like, goofy shit that you can do where, like, everybody has to be Gibraltar, or, like, shit like that.
Yeah, see, that's always fun, because, I mean, like, that makes it, like, changes it up for the community. But I know Overwatch does a ton of that, and, I mean, that's probably one of the highlights for people.
Yeah, it's every time there's, like, a new Overwatch character, they have a playlist that's just like, fuck it, everybody's this character. Go have fun.
Yeah, or, like, even just, like, like random holiday events and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, just... Or letting just multiple people be the same character, or like your ultimate charges 3 times faster, or the circle closes twice as fast, and stuff like that.
Oh, see, man, that'd be fucking awesome too. Just like, kind of make it a little bit more fun for people. Change it up.
Yeah, make an extreme, or like The circle's really small, but no one has guns.
They should do like a backward circle where it starts off super small and slowly gets bigger.
Oh my god, that'd be kind of funny. It would go from like insane shit to like hide and go seek.
You know, since like the whole start of the game is you jumping out, like parachuting down, I thought it'd be hilarious. Like for April Fools, they turn on fall damage.
Oh my god, that would be perfect.
Just have like everybody like land and just completely wipe out. Like what the fuck?
Oh, that would be yeah. Just like advertise it as something different, like this is the April Fool's playlist. Play it to find out what happens.
Just like completely fucking random and chaos.
Yeah, completely like ruins your whole like. You had like a streak of wins going. You just hit the ground and die.
Like, God damn it!
That would be funny. Yeah, I think, and they probably will do that because other battle royales do that, but hopefully they do it sooner than later and really like,
Don't fall behind.
get their own thing out there, like make it even more unique than it already is, because games need to be like super duper unique now if they want to survive.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a two-part thing for survival though, because like they have to be unique, but then they have to keep delivering.
Right, they need to be unique, but not too unique, because then it becomes niche.
Yep.
And then you don't make any money, and then you can't keep running the game.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of like shoot yourself in the foot. But that's tangentially related to another topic I want to talk about, which, because we touched on the whole like development thing and whether or not the developers can be able to kind of keep up like that strong pace.
Yeah.
And I know there's been a lot of articles like in the past month talking about kind of like developer burnout. I think it's always been kind of like everyone's like open secret about just the video game industry that if you're a developer, you're going to have a shitty time. Because overall, I mean, like crunch time isn't even like something that happens. It like once in a while, it's pretty much like a standard like of living at this point. But I think the Anthem article that came out from Kotaku kind of really highlighted the like how severe that issue was, where all the issues with Anthem, I mean, boiled down to just mismanagement and crunch time, where they called it the BioWare magic because, hey, like this, we'll pull it off, guys. We just got to buckle down and work. But, I mean, I think more and more articles have started coming out with like developers kind of starting to speak up more against it about crunch time, shitty conditions, and in light of all that, Bungie announced that I think they were supposed to have a patch coming out this like recently for Destiny 2. It wasn't anything super serious. It was just like a small balancing patch. But they actually announced that they were going to delay the patch by a few weeks just to avoid crunch time. And I'm glad that it's gotten to that point where developers are saying like, hey, just a heads up, guys, like facing the community, we're going to stop, give our developers a break. I mean, we don't want to hit crunch time. And I mean, and it was really well received for the community, saying like, oh, all right, cool. Don't kill your guys. That's fine. But there's also the cynic in me that's kind of like thinking this is going to become the new marketing thing. Like a few years ago, it's saying our game doesn't have microtransactions. Yeah. And it's like the bar is set so low that our expectations for what should be standard are like selling points now. Like, hey guys, we're treating our developers like humans, so we're going to delay this patch. We're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's... What fucking dystopian future do we live in?
A really fucking boring dystopian future, man.
That's true.
We don't even have, like, hoverboards. Like, I expect that at least by now, like, we were going to be ruled by corporations, and I'll have these badass bio implants and fight the power and seedy, like, virtual reality opium dens, but we have none of that.
Yeah, it's like, I'm kind of glad that it's not, like, Blade Runner, because that would suck.
I don't know. I mean, like Blade Runner, Altered Carbon. I mean, it's just give me something more than this shitty. The closest thing we have to fucking tripping out on like nootropics and like accessing the net is taking fucking Dramamine so you can play Oculus Rift and not get motion sickness.
Or taking Dramamine so you can fall asleep on a plane.
There you go. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm glad that it's something that like they're considering now, saying like, hey, we're not going to push like a small patch at at the sake of the health of our employees, which is great. But at the same time, I also just see that as like a very poor reflection of the industry as a whole, that this is a selling point, or this is seen as like a virtue, where in any other industry that'd be like, well, good for fucking you, like you're doing what you're supposed to do. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, I wonder how the developers feel when they see that tweet and they're like, oh good, they're gonna like give us rations this month. That's nice.
I know that's the impression that I get sometimes. Like they see that tweet and they're like, oh hey, we get two bottles of water in our cage this day. Yay.
It's yeah, I mean, because I look back, it's like specifically with Bungie, back in like the kind of first few years of the Xbox 360, when I was like super into Halo and stuff like that, and they would release, these like videos on Xbox Live that you could like download and watch, like the Bungie vid docs of like, their office and like how they work together and like how they do stuff and how they like specifically, I think it was Bungie, they specifically tore down all the walls in their like developers room and put all of the desks on like wheels and stuff like that so that people could like move around and like work together and
yay, open offices.
Yeah, and it's like I remember like thinking that it was interesting how like everybody there seemed like it seemed like a group of friends making a game.
Yeah.
Where in like the stark contrast to that now, Bungie is the fucking Destiny whore. That like make sure you get the patch out for Destiny because we gotta make money.
Well, I mean, and I'm not trying to put all the onus on Activision stuff, but I mean, I have noticed there seems to be a shift in tone with their break away from Activision. Like the announcement that they were going to make like Destiny 2 free to play, the announcement that hey, we're planning to have cross save coming up soon. The announcement of like they're changing like their model. Instead of releasing Destiny 3, they're like, hey, we're just going to release another expansion. We have like another season pass that's going to cover, I think like it's going to cover that Shadowkeep expansion and then the season pass number 3 or like season 3 pass, and it almost feels like they're kind of reinvigorated. So I'm not saying that Activision kind of like had their thumb over their neck the whole time, but it does seem like
they totally did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it sucks that, again, like that seems like it's like an industry standard where you have the bigger corporations that are like, hey, this makes us money. We're in this to make money and make our fucking money. So you have like these studios that, I mean, back in the day, like BioWare was like the go-to studio for RPGs, man. I remember like people, if you mentioned BioWare, like that's like high pedigree. And then they released Mass Effect Andromeda, which was very lukewarm reception. And then Anthem, which is just like even worse in the opposite direction. You kind of start wondering like, man, like what the hell happened to you guys? But it's not just them. I mean, it's rampant across the industry. It's, not torturing developers, obviously. It's not like they're, strapping the developers and like smacking their testicles with like fucking ropes saying like, you better finish this game. But I don't know, man. And it's like, I was having this conversation and like the best way I can link it to, it's like for anybody that's ever worked retail, specifically if you've ever worked at GameStop, like being a developer is like working at GameStop, where if you're looking at it from the outside, it seems like a dream job. You're like, I get to work with video games all day. This is going to be great. I get to like talk about them and make them, and this is going to be fantastic. And then you get there, and then you're hit with that grim reality that this is really just another job. And to make things worse, like the people higher than you up in management, they know that this is a dream job to everybody else. So they know they can afford to treat you with like the least modicum of like humanity, because it's such a coveted position that if you don't pull your weight, they can kick you out and have someone else take your spot by Monday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, it sucks. It's like I always hear stories of like these indie studios that are like, oh, this is great, this is fantastic, like we're, like this is like a brotherhood, like you said, it's like best friends making a video game. But then you hear bigger companies and it's like almost like a sweatshop for developers.
Yeah, honestly, and I think that really like shows through with indie games compared to AAA games now. I'd not trying to shit. This is not like a let's shit on AAA games podcast or anything like that because AAA games are pretty awesome a lot of the time, but there's definitely like you know you can feel the spirit in a good indie game. Like you can feel like the little teeny tiny like Easter eggs and attention to detail and stuff like that in some of those games, the little nods to like the fans of the games and stuff, whereas I feel like a lot of like big AAA games like they just don't have that anymore. I think that they did at a certain point because I think it's you could probably have called like Halo 3 and Halo Reach like those were AAA games before Bungie was with Activision, before they had the proverbial thumb on their neck. But it just I don't know, there's a spark in a good indie game that you just don't get even with a good AAA game. The Hollow Knights and the Shovel Knights and the Super Meat Boys of the world, like you can't match that pizzazz that they have.
I mean, I don't know, because like the new God of War for PS4 was like fucking phenomenal, man. Like that game, you could tell had a lot of love in it. But I do agree though that I think for bigger studios, it's a little bit harder to find nowadays. And I don't know if maybe that's just a symptom or like a result of people just being overworked and just having to do crunch time over and over again.
Yeah, I think it's the result of a lot of things. I feel like it's the result of like the investors and stuff saying that like this has to this game has got to fit these criteria because this criteria means that it will sell the most copies. So it just like games that like pander and stuff like that, like not that it's terrible to be like inclusive in a game or anything really, but like every once in a while you get like it doesn't feel like it's being inclusive. It feels like it's it's like the Twitter brand thing, when they change their color to rainbows to be like, look, we're like you, like shit like that. It's like this doesn't make me feel better.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean it sucks because ultimately like the developers are the ones that feel the brunt of it, and I feel like we don't always speak out as much as we should because ultimately we still get our game at the end of the day. We're like, all right, this is great, see ya.
Right.
And like who cares if like you open your box and it's got like a hastily scrawled note from a developer saying save us. You're just like, oh, that's funny. And you put your game in and just don't even think twice about it.
Speaking of hastily scrawled notes, can we bring back instruction manuals, please?
Dude, I missed that. I was talking the other day because we were just having a weird age off, just kind of comparing how old we were. And I think like a lot of people I was talking to kind of like missed the days of, having your parents drive you to the store, you pick up like a video game and then you just read the manual and like cram it as much information as you can and reread it over and over again until you can play it on the weekend. I remember, I think Warcraft 3 was like, I think one of the games I remember the most where I got the game on like middle of the week and my parents like, all right, you can't play this till the weekend comes in. So I would sit in my room at night and just literally read the manual and read this lore and just go over and over it, like look at the maps and like plot out what I was going to do and like come up with like this weird, that had nothing to do with like, it was completely unfounded in any kind of gameplay whatsoever. But I kept like, oh man, I'm going to go this here and I'm going to explore this area. But I don't know, it was a cool concept and like I kind of miss like manuals like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the pinnacle of video game manuals was first-party Nintendo games on the GameCube. Those manuals, A, were in color, and B, were like Bibles.
Yeah, they had like it was like a nice little pamphlet that had all the information you could ever need in it.
They were fucking like Pokemon Coliseum and Smash Bros. Melee and like Pikmin and Pikmin 2. Like those manuals were fucking thick.
Yeah, there was like a fucking checkbook. It was just like, dude, pages upon pages.
Yeah, can we start putting games back in cardboard boxes manuals, please?
You know what I miss too? I miss like just like the lore dump a lot of manuals used to have.
Yeah.
Like you open it up and it's got like the character descriptions and it's got like a background of the world. It was like a little mini like novel for the game.
And now you get the terms and conditions on a single sheet of paper.
Yeah, you get like a paper and that's it. If you're lucky, it has like a fucking like bonus code on it, and that's it.
Even bonus codes aren't made with the same fucking pizzazz they used to be. I remember the Xbox 360, it was like a piece of like paperboard. It was like cardboard.
I remember that.
The thing came on, and now it's like a piece of fucking tissue paper. The code like scribbled on it in fucking pen.
Dude, I remember because I used to live off working at GameStop. I used to fucking scour the Xbox Live cases because they all had like that, you know, like 3-month free trial, like 30-day trial for free of Xbox Live, and it was like that really thick cardboard paper that had the tearaway tab, and it was super fancy.
Yeah.
And now we have, like you said, like it's like a single ply sheet of paper where like the code may be on there if it's still legible.
Yeah, or hopefully no one like else opened it and used it.
Yeah. Oh, that's always a sad sign. Then you have to go through the whole problem of trying to return it, and then everyone just eyes you like you're trying to pull a fast one. You're like, I swear to God, this doesn't fucking work because someone used the code.
Yeah, I remember my first game that had a code with it, and this was before I had an Xbox 360 before I had Xbox Live, because I had the Xbox 360 that didn't have the wireless thing built in.
Oh.
So you had to buy the extronal one. And
I remember like that weird like dual antenna thing.
Yeah, but they were like $100 when they first came out. So I got the Xbox and I was like, well, guess I got to save for online play.
Remember that?
And I remember Fable 2 was one of the first games I got that had codes in it, and it was torture because I couldn't fucking use them because I didn't have internet connection.
You're just like staring at the codes longingly.
Yeah, and I beat the ever-loving fuck out of Fable 2 like so many times over, to where like all my like character slots were full with like maxed out characters of like good and bad and like neutral. And then like I finally got Xbox Live and I was like, I can finally use these codes. And it was like Master Chief's armor, I think, that you could wear, but it looked like it was like sewn.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It was leather. It was like the leather armor, like the Spartan's armor.
Yeah, and a energy sword for a weapon, but it was like the worst weapon that you could get. Like it was terrible, because it was supposed to be like the first thing you get out of the gate, where it's like, oh cool, I got a cool energy sword. Yeah, this will be useless soon, but I could use it for now.
I remember,
but
yeah,
like,
it was called Hal's outfit.
Yeah, that's what it was. And so like everything was useless when I got it, and I was like, this is deflating. Guess I'll start a new character.
Wah, wah. That's kind of cool though. Yeah, I remember, man, I love those moments. I still like it. Sucks because they're not included with the actual like books, like, you know, consoles or the games anymore. But you can find like lore books that they write, which is kind of interesting. I remember, I think one of the favorite books I got was the Book of Cain for Diablo 3.
Oh yeah,
where it's cool. I mean, it's just like a lore dump on like the demons and like the blood war and stuff like that. But it's all written as if it was like a tomb written by like Deckard Cain himself.
Oh yeah.
And dude, like the pages are like, they're meant to look like old parchment paper, and like the writing, it like the font of it looks like it's written in like quill, and it's probably like one of my favorite books to have, even though like it's not something practical. And I hate to say it, but like being more adult, living in a townhouse, I don't have room for a lot of this shit anymore, but I still like having it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. There's just something about like just physical media for games that I think it's, for a lot of people, it still has like that, like almost like an emotional connection.
Yeah, because you can be like, I bought this with my money and I can hold it in my hand.
It means the world to me.
Yeah, I spent $60 on this piece of plastic. Yay.
Fantastic.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Clustercast. You can find us at our website at entertainmentbuddha.com, Twitter at ENTBuddha, and YouTube at Entertainment Buddha for video reviews and previews. I'm Nat.
And I'm Enrique.
And we will see you next time.